So they gave us a call, and they asked us so that's why special adaptations help them hunt at night that the other raptors don't have. One of those special adaptations is silent flight. And silent flight helps the owls in several ways. First of all, the prey rarely hears the owl approach, and the owl can continue to listen to the squeaks and rustling sounds that the prey is making without having to listen over the noise of flapping wings. We would like to demonstrate the silent flight of the owl. Now, this is the one time that you can raise your hands because I am going to need a very brave volunteer from the audience.
Right here.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many hands. And, well, how about right here in the front, in the black? Yeah, do you want to come up? Yeah, oh, we have some stairs right over there. Okay, big round of applause. Takes a lot of nerve to do this. Thank you for volunteering. And what is your name? Jordan? It's very nice to meet you. I'd like you to step right into my office and have a seat on my fake rock. Okay, nice and comfortable there? Yeah, that's good. Have you ever seen the program before? You have? Have you ever been up here before? No, you still came up? Okay, all right. Are you from Arizona? Okay, Jordan from Arizona. But through the power of our imagination, this is no longer Jordan from Arizona. It's now Jordan the mouse. I wouldn't be giggling out there. You're all mice too. You are all part of Jordan's extended mouse family, and you have come out in the middle of the night to forage and frolic in order to avoid the daytime predators. What could possibly go wrong? Jordan's a very smart mouse and knows that, well, he's going to be our guard mouse. So, Jordan, it is the middle of the night. Moon is hiding behind the trees and the clouds. It's very, very dark. So to simulate that, we're going to ask you to put on a blindfold. Yeah, did you remember this part? No, didn't remember that part. It gets better. Okay, can you see anything? No, that's probably for the best. Okay, well, now that you're a mouse, you can't talk to warn us when danger approaches. You're going to have to squeak. Can you give us your best practice mouse squeak? That's the best you got? Okay, that's pathetic. All right, we're going right to plan B. It's a toy squeaker, and it sounds like this. Okay, put out a hand, either hand. Okay, there you go. Give it some squeezes. Okay, mice in the back. Did you hear? Yes, no? All right, good, because this is really important. It's our cue that danger is approaching. We are approaching the most dangerous part of the program. We are dealing with one of the largest owl species in the world, the Eurasian eagle owl. We don't want anything to happen to Jordan Mouse. Safety first here at Arizona. We have required protective headgear. I'm going to set this helmet right on your head. Safety first. There we go. Latest in raptor protection. Talon deflectors on each side. Now we have released the owl and Jordan Mouse. Remember your job. When you hear the sound of flapping wings, you're going to squeak to warn us all. Be very quiet. Here we go. I don't think so. He didn't squeak before the eagle owl landed. Nah. It's all right. He's finished you off anyway. You can go ahead and take your blindfold off. And do you know where the owl is? Keep looking. Let's give Jordan a huge round of applause. Thank you very much. You can, well, take whatever body parts you have left. Yeah, limp on back. This is Malachi, a full-grown male Eurasian eagle owl, and aside from the silent flight, another special adaptation that the owls have is their vision. He's got more rod cells in his eyes than we do, or the daytime raptors do. Rod cells help us to see in dim light, and we all know that if we were to pop an eyeball out of our head, pretty quiet, isn't he? I like to be quiet when he flies so you get the full experience. Now we do need everybody seated. We've got a little child here. Is there an adult associated with this baby here? Do we have any adults? Yeah, call that one back. Because that owl's going to be coming back this way. That's a good job. Okay, rod cells help us to see in dim light. And we know that if we did pop an eyeball out of our head, incoming, it would be round like this. And because of that, we can move our eyes up and down and round and round. But owl eyes are kind of elongated. They're a little more like this. And they're huge. They're bigger than their brains and they're fixed in their eye sockets. Owls cannot move their eyes like we can. In order to see around, an owl has to move its entire head. So for those of you who have not seen the program before, and remember, don't raise your hands, just shout out your guesses. How far do you think an owl can turn its head? 360 all the way around? Yeah, that's a great guess. They can do that once, but then we do need a new owl. I hear a lot of 180s back there. Well, another great guess, hawks and the falcons can do that. Okay, I heard it. Yeah, 270 degrees, 3/4 of the way around. And if he were to do that one way, then he went back and went the other way, it would be a turn and a half. If we blinked at just the right time, it would look like his head is spinning right off his body. Just one of the reasons he can do that and we can't is because he's got twice as many neck bones as we do. We've got 7 vertebrae in our neck, but our vertebrae have these bumpy, knobby things that keep us from spinning our heads off. He's got 14 vertebrae in his neck, and he doesn't have the bony thingies. So even though it looks like he doesn't have any neck at all, underneath all the feathers, his neck is long and slender and flexible. Now he's got about a 6-foot wingspan, almost 6 feet. And in the raptor world, the ladies are usually about a third bigger than the gentlemen. But with almost a 6-foot wingspan, and again, don't raise your hands, but shout out your guesses. How much do you think he weighs? See who picks out your holiday
20.
6 pounds, 100 pounds. That's quite a range. 15 pounds.
No.
20, going in the wrong direction.
Oh, right above.
He weighs less than 4 pounds. Yeah, and I think I mentioned at the beginning of the program that some of their bones are semi-hollow. And that makes them light for flight. And in fact, some of their bones are part of their breast.
I feel bad.
And those feathers
After I ran one over.
Very light. Now, Eurasian eagle owls are found in parts of Europe and Asia, and they're in the horned owl family. You could tell that by those beautiful decorative tufts on his head, and those aren't part of his ears, they're not horns, just decoration. His counterpart on this continent would be the great horned owl. Like the other raptors, the great horned owl, you're still sitting there. Come on now. Okay, owls don't do anything fast. This brings up the question, what's a group of owls called? It's not hooters. Anybody? It's not a flock, it's not a gaggle. It's called a parliament. A parliament, yeah. It's probably because owls don't do anything fast. They do like to sit around and think about things for a long time before they make a decision and act on it, which is why if they'd been named on this continent, it would have been a congress. Okay, his counterpart on this continent is the great horned owl. And like the other raptors, the great horned owl is an amazing predator. There's something very unusual. The great horned owls will hunt and eat that other predators avoid. A mammal that also comes out at night. It only weighs about 5 to 8 pounds. In spite of its small size, this mammal packs a powerful defense. Nothing wants to tangle with it. Coyotes, bobcats, even mountain lions may try to take one-on-ones, but if they do, they'll probably never make that mistake again. And That is Digby. He is a striped skunk, the most common type of skunk that's found in North America. And in spite of all the super senses that the owls possess, super eyesight, super hearing, they don't have much of a sense of smell. But that's a good thing for the owl because a skunk can hit you accurately between the eyes at about 10 feet with that spray. And for those of you in the front row, shower you with a gentle mist at about 20 feet. Nothing wants to be on the receiving end of a skunk. That stink will stick to a predator for days and let everything in the vicinity know that it's coming. But the skunk rarely hears the silent approach of the owl, and even if it does, the owl isn't too impressed, so it's usually owl 1, skunk 0. And the owl will probably take part of its trophy back to its nest for a nice, juicy midnight snack later on. So if you're ever out in the woods and you smell skunk, look up. You could be under the nest of a great horned owl. Well, Digby has scampered off because, well, he's seen the program before and he knows who's coming out next. It is Olivia, the great horned owl. Now, Olivia is one of our many rescues. We hope that someday she's going to be doing what you saw the first owl do, and that's to demonstrate silent flight. And Olivia's flight is silent. Nothing else about Olivia is quiet. Now, I want her to wait. I want her to come until I call her. Good girl, Olivia. Now, she's an imprint. That means she was raised by people from such a young age that she thinks she's a person. She just doesn't understand that she's an owl. But we don't know how she came to be imprinted because she was found in the wild. And we think probably somebody found her as a baby on the ground and they didn't know that you can pick up that baby bird to put it back up in the nest. Mom and Dad are still going to take care of it. It's a myth that if you touch it just to put it back, that Mom and Dad will sense that you've touched it and neglect it or kick it out. Bird parents are wonderful parents. Putting that baby back in the nest gives it the best chance to grow up and lead a normal, free life. Well, someone probably didn't find her. Maybe they thought they were rescuing her, and they took her home, and later on, maybe they released her, or maybe she escaped. But she found herself in the wild. She didn't know how to take care of herself, and she was starving. And she knew where to find food. It was with people. And so she went looking for people, and she found them having a picnic in a state park somewhere in southern Arizona. She came down, she was rummaging through their picnic basket. She said, there's got to be a mouse in here somewhere. And they called authorities. Well, Game and Fish arrived, and it was obvious that she was an imprint. They knew that they couldn't just take her out and release her again, because she's going to go out and look for another picnic basket. So they gave us a call, and they asked us so that's why she is still here. And
she already tapped it with the tail.
About 2 years ago, all that chattering noise that she's making, that's owl baby begging talk. If Mom and Dad had raised her, well, they would have kicked her out of the nest before she was a year old. She'd have to learn to be a quiet owl because noisy owls are hungry owls. Dinner hears them coming, but we're never going to kick her out. We're never going to stop feeding her, so she's probably going to chatter like that for a long time. Well, raptors are predators. If you've been around Arizona already, you've seen lots of predators. Foxes, badgers, bobcats, wolves, jaguars, and bears. We now know how very valuable predators are at helping to maintain a healthy, balanced ecosystem. The raptors are no different. They are the great predators of the sky. Now, when they started building this stage and all of that seating area out there, the construction disturbed a lot of rodents. There were rats and mice scampering all over out here. Well, you can imagine how concerned we were at drawing the raptors over all of those treats. But we didn't have anything to worry about. Rodents are really smart. And once we started flying the birds here, the run's vanished. That problem is behind us now. Now the raptors will have population. In this part of the park, at least, you won't see any rodents, and it's proof of how very effective raptors are at helping to maintain early populations. We're going to the falcon's nest. The bird that's coming out has the most powerful grip strength proportionate to body size of all the raptors. They're found throughout most of the American continent. It's the most common falcon that's found in North America. It is the mighty American kestrel. And that's cricket. Kestrels are also the smallest falcons found in North America.
I did not know that was a small.
Falcons are built for speed with long, pointy wings, unlike the rounded wings of hawks and owls. And stiff feathers help decrease wind resistance, making them fast and maneuverable. The fastest of all birds is a peregrine falcon, which can dive at over 200 miles an hour. Falcons have dark eyes that act like sunglasses, and stripes under their eyes help decrease glare. All these characteristics help falcons in high-speed chases with one of their favorite prey, other birds. For its small size, kestrels clock speeds of 50 to 60 miles an hour. They can find anything from grasshoppers to other birds their own size or open grasslands. But there aren't a lot of places to perch there. So check the telephone lines and fence posts for a little bird that's bobbing its tail up and down like that. But you might also see them hovering. Kestrels are unique in the falcon family, being able to flap their wings so quickly they hover like helicopters. And they're looking for mice trails. Mice trails are glowing runways of pee. Urine fluoresces or glows in the ultraviolet light range. Mice dribble urine to mark their trails, and kestrels see in the ultraviolet light range. So as they're hovering over that field, they're looking for the yellow brick road. And if they find one, they're pretty sure that at one end of the other, there's bound to be a mouse. We have one bird left, and this is one of our fastest and lowest flyers. Now, if you stay this still and quiet, you can get a great mouse eye view of the next bird, a Harris's hawk. Harris's hawks are native to Central and South America, but they range as far north as the southern part of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. There's something unique about Harris's hawks. They are social hunters. Most hawks hunt by themselves, but Harris's hawks live and hunt in family groups like a pack of wolves. And the only other hawk that does that is the Galapagos hawk. And this is Brooke. She is just 2 years old, and she's the newest member of our team. Now, the reason they fly low, it's not because we trained them to do that, just because we love to watch you duck and scream. They're using something called ground effect. Ground effect helps them to fly using less effort. It's like floating or hydroplaning on a cushion of air. You often see it at the ocean. You see that squadron of pelicans that's just skimming over the surface of the water, clearing it by a few inches. That's because ground effect only works when you're really close to a surface, like the water or the ground or your head. So ducking isn't going to help you out any. Brooke will just slide lower. Raptors have a high mortality rate in their first year of life. Only about 15 to 20% survive their first year. And it's got a lot to do with having a short training season with mom and dad before they're kicked out of the nest, and they have to earn their own living. But Harris hawks stay with their families for 3 years or even longer. So by the time they decide to strike out on their own, they're much better prepared for a life in the wild. And there's a few things that set raptors apart from other birds and even other birds of prey. All raptors are birds of prey. Not all birds of prey are raptors. To be a raptor, you have to have 3 sharp things. Sharp eyesight. 8 to 10 times better than ours. Some of them, like that little kestrel, sees colors that we don't see, and they see faster. Now, if we were to look at, say, a revolving fan, we see a blur. They see individual blades. That helps them to lock onto quickly zigzagging prey without losing it. They also need sharp, curved talons for catching dinner Mangy duck. Nah, 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 nah. They need those sharp curved talons. They also need a sharp curved beak for ripping and tearing dinner. And she's going to make a few more passes here.
She's coming this way. Oh, that's hot.
See how much hair we can part over here. Wag your tail. Wag your tail. Other way. Do you remember your job? Now turn around. Okay, one more pass. And then you're done, Bertie, okay? Yeah, do any of you live in, don't raise your hands, do any of you live in Phoenix, Tucson area? Yeah. You see these down there? Yeah, a lot of them. Have you ever seen them stack? You've seen, okay, stacking is something that only the Harris's hawk does, and nobody knows really why they do it. But they'll land maybe on a big saguaro cactus, and she says, I'm done for the day. Are you going to go? Yeah, I think, oh, she's stuck. There she goes. And the next one will come and land on its shoulder, and then the other one come and land on top of that. Nobody knows why they do it, but it's really cool to see. Well, she is safely back into her lovely accommodations, and we're going to be bringing out Olivia again. Amy's going to get Olivia, the great horned owl. She's going to take her back by the owl crossing sign, and you can get close-up photos of her there. We're also opening the enclosures that are behind you, and those birds are not raptors. They're members of the corvid family. Corvids are among the most intelligent birds on the planet, and we have 2 species of ravens who make up our financial department. Take a dollar bill out of your pocket, hand it to one of our ravens. They will gladly relieve you of it, stuff it in their piggy bank as a donation to a nonprofit raptor rescue education organization. But this is the end of the show. I think Olivia is coming out. Give Amy just a moment. Have a great Arizona day.